What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about the markets. So, as far as the market's going, we saw SPY and many stocks get a bit of a sell-off today after something Donald Trump said again. However, we got a bullish divergence. Now the market's getting bought back up. So for the time being, there are buyers trying to defend and they're trying to help the market base for now. So the question is, what's going to happen from this point on? What is Donald Trump saying? Let's break this down. The first thing is that Donald Trump retaliated against Canada over its tariffs on American electricity imports, and he said he's willing to put an additional 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, taking it up to 50% as a result. So Donald Trump is willing to charge Canada 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum. So that's some very, very big news. He also mentioned that he's willing to declare a national emergency for U.S. electricity. So that's very, very big news. So what's big about this is the fact that Donald Trump is doing this because he claims that he is retaliating. But then the question is, how will Canada respond? Will they try to retaliate back? Is this just another negotiation tactic that Donald Trump's trying to use? Is he going to delay these tariffs, or is he going to once again impose these and cause a very, very big move? In my honest opinion, sometimes you never know what's going to happen. Will he delay them? Will he truly impose these? As of right now, he is saying that, yes, he wants to do that. So keep that in mind. That's part of why the market got a bit of a dip. Now, with that happening, it's making lots of headlines right now about how he wants to double the steel and aluminum tariffs to 50% on Canada. So keep that in mind. That's some new news. Now, besides that, yes, that caused a temporary dip in the markets, but we are seeing some buyers trying to defend. One of the reasons is because of this. The JOLTS job openings report was above expectations at 7.74 million. That's quite decent for the markets. Job quits was at 3.26 million. Technically, it was also slightly above expectations, but the market has been holding up as a result. Now, later on, I want to remind everyone we have major catalysts coming starting tomorrow. Tomorrow we have CPI data coming out. That's going to be very pivotal for the way in which the market's going to move. So get ready for CPI data. Then on Thursday we have PPI data coming out, which is very similar to CPI on the wholesale side. And then last but not least, we have this big piece of news. The House is expected to vote on Tuesday on their stopgap measure to keep the government funded through September. So will the government get its funding, or is the government going to experience a shutdown, right? What's been happening for the last couple of years is they keep on threatening, one another. They start to just argue. They have politics, all that nonsense political BS that keeps on going on. But then what eventually happens is they will eventually, fund the government and extend this. So that's what almost always happens. There's a good chance that's what's going to happen in this time. So what I think is going to happen is that on Friday we have the very important deadline. If they don't, pass the funding bill by Friday, there could be a government shutdown, which is going to be very bad news. And I think they're going to most likely try to avoid that. There's a very good chance that's going to happen. And once they pass the funding bill, that could be bullish for the stock market. So, anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the charts now. So there's good news and bad news. The bad news is we're technically on a much larger downtrend. We're still on the downtrend. There's no true sign of a reversal right now, but there is potential for it because SPY dipped lower. Okay, we got this rug pull, but instead of continuing to dump, what happened was we got a rug pull and then we formed a bullish divergence. Look at the MACD, it's trending upwards. Look at the RSI, the same thing is going on. I'm trying to make this very simple to understand. So if we could break 560, if we hold above 560, we could easily push for 563. If we break 563, there's going to be a chance this might try to reverse. Maybe the market's like a little bit more optimistic for CPI. But if we lose 555, we could be retesting these lows and continuing to dump closer to 550. So it depends. Do we end up rejecting, and if we end up losing like 555, I'm more bearish. We could be dumping to like new lows. If we break 560, we could push a little bit higher. We're in the middle for now, but as you could tell, SPY is trying to push. We're seeing some buyers defending because big tech is trying to bounce. So there's potential for a bounce. I do see some potential for now. Of course, it depends on what Donald Trump says and all these other things. But with CPI coming out and also the potential funding bill from the US government to pass, there's a good chance that could help the market to some extent. So for now, watch your levels just to be safe. If we lose 555 on SPY, we're bearish. Break 560, I think we could be pushing for 563 plus. We do favor upside a bit more, but we'll see just to be safe. The QQQ is also doing a good job at basing at 568. If we lose that, we're bearish, looking for 468 is where we're basing at. If we lose that, we're looking for 465. As long as we're above that, we're looking for the main support around this 473 area. As long as we're above this, we're looking for a attempt for 477, then 480. There is potential for more upside. On the Russell 2000, we have a nice double bottom here. If we could break past 201, we're looking for 202. If we end up losing 200, we could be dumping a lot more. With this this double bottom, which kind of like develops into that, we could be looking for an attempt for a rebound. So give this some time to develop. But I do think that we can try to break past 201 and 202, so there's potential in this. For others out there, we have ES. ES is forming a base at 55.50. As long as we don't lose that, we're looking for an attempt to break 56.15. If that breaks, 56.50 is coming next. So I see some upside potential for the 5600s. As long as we don't end up losing 55.50, we're doing a good job. For NQ, we're looking for a bounce here. I want to see us break past 19,500. If that's the case, we're looking for a push. There kind of is like an inverse head and shoulders, not that strong. It's not that nice of a setup, but it's doing a good job. And that's what matters more. So I want to see us break 19,540. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt to get closer to about 19,700. We could be looking for a bounce on NQ for now. It's showing more potential than ES. Bitcoin has a potential inverse head and shoulders like structure. We need to see it break 83,000 to be bullish. And as long as we don't lose like 79,000, I think we're doing a good job. So watch that very closely. If we break 111 on Nvidia, I think we push up to about 115 again. If we end up losing 106, we could turn back down towards that 102 target. We dumped really hard, and we are due for some kind of rebound move. So I think it could attempt to get closer to like the 111 range and try to break that. So there's potential in this. Tesla's doing a good job at forming an accumulation. I want to see it break 234 and then 240 to be bullish. As long as it does not lose 220, we could be looking for some kind of temporary reversal. 215 is a big support, so we're trying to base there. If we end up losing 220, we could dump back down to 215. And if we break past 234, we're looking for 240 as our target. There is potential for more upside on this chart, in my opinion. Apple dumped to about 220, so 218 to 220 is where we like to base. As long as we hold that area, we could be trying to balance for 224. Apple has potential to base. We did get some bad news, which is why it dipped, but we'll see what happens once we hit our support. On Coinbase, we need to break 192. If that breaks and holds, we could be looking for 200. If we lose 187, though, this could reverse and start dipping a lot more. So we'll see if we can hold above 190 or not. There's still potential to try to push. Amazon's also trying to push. I don't want to see us lose 195 to dump. As long as we're above that, we could attempt to get closer to 200. Meta could also try to push higher. As long as we don't end up losing like 600, I think we're looking pretty much full of potential to push for 615 or so. So I see potential in this. Microsoft is looking decent. I just don't want to see this thing lose 380. As long as we're above that, we could slowly push for 386 and 390. And for Google, I want to see us break past 167. If that breaks, we're looking for another push for 168. So we're kind of in the middle with Google, but other tech stocks are looking decent. I want to mention that the VIX has I think it had a triple bearish divergence on the 4 hour. I'm going to double check this. So yeah, on the 4 hour time frame, we have a double, maybe a triple. I think maybe a triple bearish divergence. Actually, it's a double bearish divergence. So we have this bearish divergence basically. And that's typically a signal that this is going to reverse. And we're going to start coming down to fill some of these gaps towards 23 and also in the 21s, possibly within the next 4 days. Maybe by early next week, we might be doing this. Why? Well, we have CPI and PPI coming out very soon. We also have a potential spending bill, a funding bill for the US government. So there's some potential catalyst that could cause the VIX to dip a little bit. Maybe the market bounces a bit because of that, but not a guarantee. I can't make that promise until we see us break key levels and get that confirmation. The trend is still bearish in the market for now, but we're watching to see if we get some kind of temporary bounce. We need to see if the market could base And the reason I talk about this is because of our technicals and because of all these catalysts from CPI to these other things. Okay. So I thank you for listening. Please have a good rest of your day. I'll be back hopefully in a couple of hours. Until then, take care and peace out.